Welcome to Sunspots, where we highlight the many ministries and missions happening on the surface of the sun. That is, the Synod of the Sun. A region of the Presbyterian Church USA, we are Presbyterians in Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas, with dynamic and hopeful ministry happening in the name of Jesus Christ. Our prayer is that you find inspiration, community, and connection in the Sun. Welcome to this edition of Sunspots. Let's get started. And here's your host, Synod Leader, and Stated Clerk, Valerie Young.
Okay. Good morning. Today, I am visiting with Jennifer Rigoulot, Executive Director of Operations and Programs, and her other half, I should say, Kenny Rigoulot, Executive Director of Development and Spiritual Formation of Camp Gilmont. Kenny is formerly pastor and head of staff of United Presbyterian Church in Cleburne, Texas. And you just began your work at Gilmont just a few months ago, right?
We did. January 1st was our first day. We moved in over New Year's.
Wow. What a celebration. That's
It was.
So what led you to Gilmont? And tell us about your roles there.
You want to start?
Okay, so we actually met at Camp Gilmont in right after we graduated from high school. So about 21 years ago, we met here and were camp counselors. We served on staff together. And so we've always had a love for Camp Gilmont. We served on staff here. Kenny's been a board member. I've been a spiritual advisor during summer camp. So we've always just had a connection to Gilmont. And the executive director left in 2019, October of 2019. So Gilmont was without, and Kenny was actually on the board at the time, serving as the chairperson of the executive director search committee. And we came to Gilmont for its 80th birthday celebration in September of 2020, and just kind of felt God's call on our life to serve Gilmont as executive directors. So it was a whirlwind of a few months, and we found ourselves here January 1st.
We both grew up in Grace Presbytery. Jennifer was at Ridgely Presbyterian Church in Fort Worth, and I was at First Pres Grapevine. And I remember coming to Gilmont for youth retreats, youth quakes, all kinds of fun activities. And this was one of those places that was, in junior high when everybody feels awkward and out of place. I felt like I belonged and felt like I was a child of God and beloved by God. And so ever since then, it's been an important place in my journey of faith. And so I met my wife here. I had my call to ministry confirmed here, and now I get to live here and work with this wonderful woman, and it's been great.
That's so cool. What a history. So tell us about your roles. Normally I think an executive director would be like all one person. So how do you split that?
So part of feeling called here, I think Kenny had felt called to Gilmont to serve in the executive director position before I did, but he didn't say anything to me because he knew he couldn't do it alone. And after being here for 3 months, we have discovered this is a two-person job, and we both have skill sets that lend itself to us doing this as a two-person job. So I'm the executive director of operations and programs. So kind of the day-to-day things that go on at camp, kind of overseeing our staff that we have, making sure that projects are moving along smoothly, and then working on programs, summer camp specifically, but also our retreats that happen throughout the year.
And I'm the director of development and spiritual formation. And so I work with our churches. I help our associate director with foundations, and I connect with individuals that love Gilmont and want to participate, partner, promote, and support the camp. And as an ordained minister in the PCUSA, I can perform the sacraments and lead worship services and preach at churches and encourage others to come and partner with us in ministry. And I was delighted when Grace Presbytery validated our ministry, and we're going to have a commissioning service on April 24th that we're really looking forward to and excited about. And so I like to say that Jennifer is the brains of the operation. She's great at logistics and details and making sure that everything is where it needs to be and guests have what they need. And I'm not going to say that I'm the heart of the group, but I like to connect with people and talk to them and do things heart to heart. So yeah, we're excited about being two peas in a pod and making this work. All those executive directors that have to do it on their own must have great support staff, because I can't imagine one person doing all this.
Yeah. Well, what an awesome call. So for those folks who don't know or aren't familiar with Camp Gilmont, it's about a 2-hour drive east of Dallas, right?
Correct.
In Gilmer, Texas. I've been there a few times. I love that camp. So tell us about the camp itself. What are the facilities like? You know, what kind of things do you offer there?
So Gilmont sits on 400 acres. We have 6 cabins that sleep about 20 each. We can sleep on 10 on each side of the cabin. So they have a shared middle room, and then each side has 4 bunk beds and a single bed, and you can add another single bed in there. So 8 to 10 people on each side. And then each side of the cabin has a bathroom. So we've got 6 of those. They're named after trees. So pecan, black gum, dogwood, pine, oak, and hickory. And then we've got lodge rooms, accommodations. So they are kind of like motel style, 2 twin beds with a restroom. We have 20 of those. We have a building called Mackey Hall. It's named after a family who has a rich history at Gilmont. And it kind of used to serve as the main
meeting place
of the camp.
It's where we met.
It's got a kitchen. So sometimes groups will come and not want our food service because they're a smaller group and they can save a little money. And so they can use Mackey Hall for meeting and for preparing their own food. We have a state-of-the-art meeting facility now called Crane Conference Center, also named after a family who loves Gilmont very much. And it's got a very large room that can seat, is it $299? $299. And then it has some breakout spaces with restrooms and all. We have our dining hall, the O'Neill Dining Hall, and those are where our lodge rooms are. We also have some old cabins, some of the original cabins to the camp.
From the 1940s.
From the 1940s. Wow. That one of them, we are actually super excited. One of the projects we started, about 4 weeks ago. We are turning one of those into a retreat house. We, as you want to speak about the Grace Presbytery camp?
Yep. So Grace Presbytery gave the camp a very generous gift to make sure that they could hire us on as executive directors while we work to make the camp sustainable. And with some of those funds, we decided we'd like to renovate this cottage into a retreat house with one room with a queen bed and another with a twin over full bunk. And then it's got a living area with its own kitchenette and bathroom. And we're offering for all Grace Presbytery employees, and we'd like to extend it to all Synod employees, to come and stay at the retreat house 3 nights free for 2021, because we know after this pandemic, people are tired of being at home. They're tired of sitting in front of or behind a screen, and they would like to get outdoors and reconnect with God and creation and just have some time to be with family or a friend or two and rest. And so we're offering this for 2021, starting mid-April, we hope. And we're really excited about that, because I know most of the pastors that I've talked to, and educators and youth directors and others in church ministry, had to learn a lot. They had a lot of pivots to make. They've worked more this last year than they have in any previous year in their ministry, learning new skills, learning new technologies. And so we'd like to give them a break from that and invite them to come and rest and be recharged and reconnect with God. And so we're excited about that.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So what about some of the other things that I know because of personal experience, that groups can rent out facilities? I assume that's still correct, but you have some of your own programmatic things. I've seen some promotions on Facebook for some certain weekends and things like that. Tell us about some of what you offer.
So Gilmont is a camp and conference center. So in the summertime, we've got camps, but throughout the year, Gilmont does host a few of its own retreats. We traditionally in the spring have a women's retreat. We have some spiritual formation, spiritual practice retreats that we offer. We offer one of our biggest programs, one of our greatest ministries, I think, is a program called Circle of Friends. And I just learned that Circle of Friends has actually been around at Gilmont for 25 years. But it is a weekend dedicated to families with children with special needs. And the families get to come. We have volunteers for the whole weekend. It's usually Saturday morning through Monday afternoon. They're usually held on holiday weekends. Martin Luther King, we did for the first time this year. We did it that weekend, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day weekend, and then one weekend in August. But families are able to come. We pair all children up with a volunteer. So the siblings and the camper with disabilities all get paired up with a volunteer and are just able to do whatever they want to do for the weekend. So the sibling may say, I want to go play basketball. So they go play basketball. Or the camper may say, I want to go on a hike. So they go on a hike. And while this is happening, the parents are getting some rest and respite. We have some programming for them, but also offer time for them to just rest and take a nap and recharge. And it is a really great ministry of Camp Gilmont's. And we are able to offer this to families free of charge. We do a lot of fundraising and getting donations throughout the year so that families can come and experience this free of charge. And we can deal with a variety of disabilities. So we just love it, and we know that parents and these families just love it because they get to come here and feel normal, feel taken care of, and just get a time to rest and recharge. So
our Memorial Day and Labor Day weekends are already full for this year because once families come, they want to keep coming until they're 18, and at that point we have to ask them to step away so that we can invite new families to come in. But we do have openings for our August weekend and next year's Martin Luther King weekend. And so if any of the folks listening to this podcast would like to participate in this retreat, please contact our office, and we'd love to have you come and enjoy this wonderful ministry. Jennifer was busy making all the details ready for the MLK weekend with our volunteers. We've got great coordinators and directors that volunteer year after year because they love this ministry. But she makes sure the hot chocolate's where it needs to be, and things are ready for a fire and s'mores and all that good stuff. I got to visit with the parents and hear them share resources and stories and tears and laughter, and it was a wonderful weekend. In addition to that, we partner with Grace Presbytery's youth committee to put on youth quakes. We partner with folks to put on kid quakes, and we welcome Emmaus groups in the fall. And so we've got a busy retreat season throughout much of the fall and spring. And
this coming fall, we are partnering with Renovare to host a retreat here, as well as the Faith and Grief group to host a retreat here in the fall. So our fall is getting filled up, but we're also available for rentals. So if you wanted to have a family reunion or a business retreat, team building for your staff,
a wedding. We've got a wedding planned this fall or this summer. Yeah.
So we're available for rental groups as well. Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout groups come out. So yeah.
I have kids summer camps, right?
Yes. So the summer we have summer camps. One of our greatest camps that we do, that's actually already almost full, is our Great Gluten Escape Camp, and it is for campers with celiac disease. So it was started maybe 10 years ago for an a Girl Scout
Gold
Gold
Award.
Award
Gold
project.
Award,
Her name was Tara Phillips, and she started this camp, and it was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and they were looking for a place to host their camp. So they came to Gilmont. Now it's a program run by Gilmont, but Tara comes out every year to help still.
And she's now on our board.
And she's now on our board of
That's
directors,
awesome.
which is great. But it is a camp just for kids who have celiac disease. And so we are actually,
gluten
intolerance, yes. So we're actually recognized by the gluten-free community for this camp. And one of, I think, only 2 camps in the nation that can say that we
Our certified
gluten-free
gluten-free
facility.
Mm-hmm.
So we bring in a few extra staff members that week who are trained in preparing food, and the kitchen's clean, and so parents can send their kiddos to camp knowing that they'll be safe and healthy, and then kids are relieved because they don't have to ask, what's in this? Can I eat it? Is it going to make me sick?
Right.
And so that's a huge ministry we have this summer as well.
Oh,
But our kind of traditional summer camp is the camp that we met at as counselors, and that is very near and dear to our hearts. We've got 4 weeks of traditional summer camp. I love our camp. I'm working on the curriculum for this year's summer camp theme, the Tree of Life, and we'll look at 5 different texts that all focus on trees, because that's real easy to do in the midst of the trees here in East Texas. And so we're really excited about the summer camp staff. We've got some returning, others that are new to our staff this year. And so Jennifer's doing a great job with all of that. I'd love for you to talk about our specialty camps and what you did last year to get everything ready to make sure we minimize the risk of spreading the virus while maximizing opportunities for fun and faith formation.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually the summer camp director last summer. So they had hired Kenny and I to come. This was before we knew we were going to be here to be executive directors, to come and be the summer camp directors as part of Kenny's sabbatical. He had been at the church for so long, and so we were getting a sabbatical, and then COVID happened and the sabbatical didn't happen. He stayed at the church and I came to camp, and along with another fellow staff member, Ryan, we were co-directors this last summer. So we learned a lot about health and safety protocols. We were actually able to have summer camp in 2020. We modified it greatly, lowered our numbers, did less weeks of camp. But an addition we made in 2020 that we're carrying over into 2021 is family camps. We listened to the talk you had with Henry, and he talked about how it's great to minister to families during this time because they're already their own unit, they're already their own little pod. And so we are going to get to do some family camps this summer where families come and get to experience all the fun of camp together as a unit. So we'll do that. We'll have our 4 weeks of summer camp and then the 1 week of the Great Gluten Escape. And we've got some adventure camp thrown in there. They sleep in tree houses or hammocks or tents, and they cook out their meals. They eat in the dining hall for lunch, but they cook out breakfast and dinner over the campfire. We are doing a service and leadership camp. We are doing a
Forces of Nature.
We're calling it Forces of Nature. So like science meets nature. And then we're doing an art and drama camp. So those are kind of in addition to the traditional camp. They're typically for those specialty camps are for the older kids to kind of give them a little bit more interest in something to be drawn to than what they've done year after year. So we're super excited about summer camp. I'm in the process of interviewing staff, and it's looking really good to have like Kenny said, a good return of some past staff and some new staff. We are still looking for male counselors. So I haven't had as many applicants there. So if anybody listening wants to apply to be a counselor, that would be great. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the summer. keeping our numbers smaller. So we could have a max of probably about 100 campers a week, but we're going down to 50. Just so that we can have some good
social
social
distancing.
distancing still. It's hard to say, what exactly we're going to do this summer, but what we're currently doing is masking when we're indoors, and when you're outside and you're 6 feet apart, we're not wearing the mask, but inside we are in the dining hall and that kind of thing. So those are kind of the protocols we're following now. So it's easy to say, oh, that's what we'll do this summer, but like we've learned this whole time, so much can change in so little time. So, so we're taking the protocols seriously and doing what we can to get people out here, but safely.
Yeah, I think the one thing, well, two things we've learned is, yes, preparation, be prepared, but also be flexible, right?
Yep.
Most
Okay,
definitely.
awesome. Yeah, and just based on everything that you've just described, I have to agree. I don't know how one person could possibly do this job, because that's a lot.
I hope you've been enjoying this episode of Sunspots. Most of us, especially in these times, need to hear more about the work of the Spirit, places where the energy has caused a solar flare and made a big impact. That could be your local congregation or presbytery or any ministry context. Send that good news and ministry ideas to us at the Synod at sunspots@synodsun.org. Now, back to the show.
I just want people to know that we're here. It's not a big, fancy, all the bells and whistles kind of camp, but I think what Gilmont does really well is helps build a community and make relationships. I know there's lots of people who have met here that are still friends years and years and years later. It's just a really good place to come and build community. And it's beautiful. It's like a hidden gem here in East Texas. So Gilmont celebrated its 80th birthday in last year, 2020. And we had an open house this last weekend. And my goal for the open house was to get some kind of local people, people in the Gilmer Longview community to come out to camp and just see what we have here. And we had 105 people come, which was amazing.
Wow.
And I guess about 25% of those people knew about Gilmont, had been here before and have a relationship with us already. And about 75% of the people were like, I live in Gilmer and had no idea this camp was here. So I think one of our goals is to just be known in the community and let people know that we're here. We're here for your group. We're here for you as a family. And then trying to figure out how we can to minister to those people when they come.
I've got two things I wanted to share. One is that we've had a great board of directors, and they really stepped up, especially when our executive director announced that he was leaving in 2019. And they're continuing to do great work. And one of the things we did in January was create a new mission statement, which is that we here at Gilmont strive to provide a safe, sacred space where all are invited to grow closer to God, creation, others, and themselves. And when we say all, we mean all. And we really want to invite folks to connect with their creator in the midst of this beautiful part of creation, and connect with others and really get to know their true selves and love and accept themselves for who God created them to be. And so we're excited about sharing that ministry with folks. And one of the groups that we welcomed in 2020, when I was on the board and Jennifer was helping with summer camp, after summer camp was over and we went back to Cleburne, Hurricane Laura hit the Lake Charles area, and there's an incredible ministry there. Evergreen Life Services provides housing and care for adults with special needs. And they've got multiple campuses over multiple states, but we have an agreement with the folks at Evergreen Life Services that if they are in need of housing, that they can come and this will be a safe space for them to stay. And lo and behold, the folks from Lake Charles, when their homes were demolished, they went to a hotel in northern Louisiana that then lost power. And so they called on a Thursday and said, can we come tomorrow? And our associate director, Marie Nelson, is a saint, and she didn't think twice. She said yes. And then she got on the phone and got people ready to go to Sam's and get food, and for 80 people to come and stay at camp. And they stayed here for 5 weeks. And I imagine going from individual hotel rooms to 400 acres and this incredible facility was a huge upgrade. And one of the joys was getting to know some of the residents from Evergreen Life Services and their staff. They're truly incredible people. They were here for 5 weeks, and they were here for our 80th celebration. And so it was at that event that Jennifer and I felt called to this ministry, to serve in this capacity. But it was fun because with technology today, we can Zoom and podcast and do online worship. And they had offered the residents, if they wanted to participate, they could worship, and they were streaming our services from Cleburne. And so they were able to worship with us for several weeks. And then when I showed up and for the 80th celebration, I don't know that I'd ever felt like a rock star before, but they were excited to see us, and we got to have worship in person, and it was we could feel the Spirit moving in our midst, and so it was a wonderful thing to be a part of. So.
That is so neat. Evergreen is a covenant partner with the Synod. And we did, Reverend Matt Curry was doing some good news articles for us, for the Synod, throughout 2020, figuring that everybody needed some good news. We still need good news, but everybody was in need desperately of some good news. And one of the articles he did was about that event when Evergreen came to Camp Gilmont. And after that, I turned that into another podcast episode. So if you go back a little bit further, I just basically just read the article, but it was uplifting to hear and to know that the camp is there to be so helpful to that community. What a lovely, lovely story.
It was a neat relationship to form, for sure.
Yeah. And you're right. Marie is a rock star. I've worked with Marie several times in her creative mind in applying for grants through the Synod. And the Synod is actually, because of her creativity, partnered with Camp Gilmont several times with grants over the years. So she's been fun to work with.
Yeah. She's wonderful.
And on that note, we have a few other employees, Kara Nelson in our office, and then we've got some ladies in the kitchen, Sue and Cassie. We just hired a new maintenance guy, but the employees here at Gilmon are wonderful, and we want to keep them all here as long as possible because they're so important to this ministry and this place. And it's been good for Kenny and I. We do have a history and a relationship with Gilmont because of our past, but it's nice to be here with other people who love this place as much as we do, and just want to have people here at camp. It's so wonderful to have guests here, and even in the midst of COVID, just being super careful, but we just want everybody to know about this place.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So Shirley, as you were talking to your search committee, or whatever that process looked like, they must have asked you the question about what do you see as the future of church camp, right? I know that there have been, unfortunately, lots of closures and lots of sell-offs of church camps over the years. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Gilmont is owned by, it's a partnership of 3 Presbyterian congregations. Is that right?
So we actually have many member churches that are part of the community of churches that own Gilmont. And so I believe the count is currently at 26. 26 churches that send representatives for our annual meeting and partner with us, participate in events, promote our events, and also support us in prayer and in donations. And so it's a great ministry of those churches and other churches as well. There's a lot of churches that aren't on our official member church list that have been very supportive over the years, and part of that is our new covenant with Grace Presbytery that we entered into this year, and folks from the Synod of the Son providing funding for certain projects and ministries. And so it goes so much further than just our little nook of East Texas here.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So what is it that you see as the future of church camps? What does that look like to you?
So I know for me, I think a lot of presbyteries, were hurting financially, and a lot of camps were part of the presbytery, and that model was no longer sustainable. But I think those partnerships are still crucial, and so that's one of the reasons we're delighted to have the covenant with Grace Presbytery, and while we're inviting other churches to become member churches and partner with us in ministry. But I think a big part of it is individual donations supporting this ministry. And then I think the need is perhaps more urgent than ever, because we've become so reliant on technology, because we've become so cut off from creation and nature and community, that we need these spaces to connect with God and to break away from our day-to-day routines and meet other people. And so I think we're going to have to be creative in our ministry and work on other ways of funding it to make sure that it remains sustainable. But I think the need for camp and conference and retreats is definitely needed.
Mm-hmm.
So how can people support the camp?
Well, as the director of development, I'd be happy to talk with anybody about financial support, but also prayers, participating in camps, partnering with us in ministry, promoting our camps, whether it's sharing something you see on Facebook, or letting somebody you know that might benefit from the Circle of Friends retreat know how to apply. And they can find all that information at gilmont.org. They can sign up for our e-news, which is sent the first of each month, highlighting ministries that have just happened and ministries that are coming up. You can sign up for camps there at our website. You can connect with us, like us on Facebook, Instagram. I think we just started TikTok.
We did.
Oh, yikes. That one I want to watch. Okay.
So there's lots of ways to connect with us. Consider having a retreat or coming for one of our programs. I know Matt Curry, who you mentioned earlier, who works with the Synod, came for a silent retreat, and he shared with me how moving and meaningful that experience was, just to be silent and still and listen for the voice of God to speak to him and work in his life. And so we'd love to work with folks. And one of the ways we'd really like to become sustainable is through monthly recurring donors. We've got a few dozen folks that give to the camp monthly, with as the smallest gift being $8 a month and the largest being $200, the average gift being $50. And so if we can just get a whole lot of folks to give just a little, it'll make sure that this ministry is able to continue for many years to come.
And people can set that up through your website?
Yes, and we use the Network for Good, which is a safe and secure way to give online.
Super. I'm going to put all of that information in the show notes, so they will
Great.
show up on our website and all of those places.
Wonderful.
That'd be great.
One question that I ask of that I asked this the second second podcast for camps
Yeah.
that I'm doing, and this is an all important question. Is there internet there?
Yes.
We're joining you from camp.
Yes. We do have internet. Cell services can come and go, but
Mhm.
we have
Nobody calls
Wi-Fi.
anybody anymore. You know that, right?
That's true.
We
That's
don't
true.
need our phones. We just
That's
need to be
true.
able to connect to the internet.
Yes, we do have Wi-Fi at our camp office and at the Crane Center, our big meeting facility. So sometimes if guests are here and they need to send an email or something like that, they might go to one of those places. We also plan for our retreat house that we're remodeling to have Wi-Fi there. So that way, the idea is that you come and you get away from work.
Of
But
course,
if you
of
needed
course,
that
of
internet
course. But
connection, you could have it. So yes, we do have internet.
And one of the great things is because we have a good internet connection here at camp, we can stream certain things that happen, like our women's retreat in mid-April is going to be online and in person. So those that
okay.
haven't had a chance to get their vaccinations or aren't comfortable yet getting out can join for those sessions that will be broadcast online. Our commissioning service on April 24th will be streamed on Facebook Live at 2
So it'll
o'clock.
be hybrid, like a
Yeah,
lot of worship
yeah.
services
So-
are. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and ideally, I'd like to see in the future us offer worship services here at the camp, on a monthly basis, and see what that looks like. And I think the hybrid model will be here to stay. I think most of the churches that started streaming last year will continue to stream because it's just a great way to connect with a larger audience and to make sure that people who can't be there physically can still be there in spirit, which we've known as Christians all along, that we're united by the gift of the Holy Spirit that's at work in each of us. And so the community is just that much stronger with a strong Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. It's great to learn all about, well, you, of course, but also learn even more about Camp Gilmont. You guys have got a lot of really cool stuff coming up and a lot of great partnerships that people need to know more about.
And thank you for getting the
Yes.
word out.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thanks.
In the Synod of the Son, we believe when we work together across boundaries, we make visible the good news and find wholeness as the body of Christ. In our common calling, we impact lives together. So let's remember to connect with, equip, and empower one another in the name of Jesus Christ, today and every day.